and welcome back to Kingdom Reviews. I'm your host, Future Key Bear. We're only going to be looking at one floor today because the world we'll be visiting actually has a lot to talk about. And ironically, it's a world that's never really had much prominence. Sora's in a hurry due to the fact that, according to Larxene, Naminé is being held somewhere in the castle. Which I find hilarious considering the fact that we're essentially going to be wasting time in the next world. And so our next world is the 100-acre wood. I wanted to devote a little bit more time to this world because it's so vastly different from the rest of the game, and the GBA version and the PS2 version are very different from each other. The basic premise of this world is that Pooh is looking for his friends, and Sora helps him find them. In the GBA version, this essentially translates to an extended version of the Muddy Path minigame from the first Kingdom Hearts, having to drag Pooh along the path to find his friends. In the PS2 version, it's just running around through the world like it was in the first game, minus the overworld map, and playing minigames. So, finding Naminé isn't so important that Sora can't stop to play with Pooh first. What the hell was A.A. Milne thinking when he named this character? So anyway, after meeting up with Pooh, you're off to find his friends. Piglet is relatively simple in both versions, it's just a matter of seeing him and talking to him. Next up we have Rabbit, and in the GBA version, getting to him takes most of the level and some adventure game logic. You know, the kind of thinking that makes sense in hindsight, but still leaves you wondering, how the hell was I supposed to know that? Rabbit's the first of Pooh's friends that you see, but you can't talk to him because he's too focused on moving his vegetables. So, in order to get his attention, you have to have both Sora and Pooh jump into his cart, thus breaking it, and near the end of the path you have to beat down all these thin stumps, then cabbages start rolling down the hill, and you have to hit 14 of them with your Keyblade. No joke, I had immense difficulty trying to find footage of this, because most playthroughs that I found just skip Rabbit altogether. That tells me that people either don't know how to do this, or just don't care and want to skip this insanity. The PS2 version is much simpler. You just go to Rabbit's house where you activate a mini-game where Rabbit rolls a bunch of cabbages and pumpkins down a hill, and you press the circle and square buttons to smack them into the right category. Next is Owl. In the GBA version, you just have to lead Pooh to a big bundle of balloons, and he'll go floating off, prompting Owl to bring him back down. In the PS2 version, you find said balloons and use them to float up the honey tree. And as opposed to the first game where you had to protect Pooh from the bees, here you're actually floating up with him. Which leaves me to wonder how light Sora is, considering the fact that he could be lifted by like 5 party balloons. Maybe it's residue from Tinkerbell's pixie dust that allowed him to glide in the first game. Game theory, get on it. Next is Tigger. In the GBA version, you get his attention by having Pooh jump on a series of stumps in the same pattern Tigger was, which is to say, counterclockwise. In the PS2 version, you find him and essentially play a game of Simon. Oh, and by the way, fuck the insane high score you have to get in the HD versions! Anyway, next is Roo. In the GBA version, you gotta get Pooh to fall into this hole that has some tracks leading up to it. Kind of a dick move if you ask me, not only having Pooh fall, but on top of Roo. In the PS2 version, you jump on the blustery well and get shot up into the air. The minigame is basically about diving down, avoiding obstacles, and collecting points. And I just realized that this might have been a proof of concept for dive mode in Dream Drop Distance. And last but most certainly not least, we have Eeyore, where we go back to adventure game logic. See, Eeyore's tail is stuck in a tree. Don't ask me how he managed that. And in the GBA version, you have to get Pooh to take honey from a separate tree, where the bees will start chasing him, causing him to ram into the tree, knocking Eeyore's tail down. Damn, Pooh has taken quite a lot of punishment in this game. In the PS2 version, in the middle of all that, you have to fight off the bees using a special deck. And then after that, you make your way to the end. And that was the 100-acre wood. In the GBA version, it's an annoyance, but in the PS2 version, I actually kind of like it better than in the first game. Largely because the mini-games are actually fun! After leaving, you see yet another familiar face.
You're... Riku!
However, Riku starts talking about how Sora doesn't care about him, and that neither he nor Naminé even want to see his face. And Riku lashes out at Sora. After beating him, Riku takes the only logical option. Run away! Run away! Run away! So we went from Winnie the Pooh to Friend's Betrayal. I don't know if this is an interesting juxtaposition or just tonal whiplash.